Welcome back. This is being filmed on Tuesday, February the 2nd, 2016. I'd like to thank again the volunteer crew and Shaw staff that makes this program happen every week. Our guest in this segment is Brian Gilbert. We're going to be talking about sewage treatment. And Brian, just as we were talking earlier, you said we've got to have a positive outcome from all of this. And really, that's the issue. We're talking about potentially billions of dollars. We face potential disaster if we go wrong. So where are we at and what can people do?
Yeah, people have to realize this month, February 20th, is your deadline to actually get involved and say something to the CRD. There's a narrow window of public engagement that's open right now that is your last chance to tell them what to do. So my recommendation, go to the survey, none of the above. You have to click, use like 1, 2, 3 options. They require this. But then put down in your comments what you really think is going on. And none of the above, because the CRD is aware of at least 3 alternatives that are hundreds of millions cheaper, and they're not part of the mix. We're not seeing them. This information is not being brought forward at this time.
So just to repeat that, the process is about to end. Mm-hmm. Public involvement, which has been such a big deal, is almost over. And there are potential solutions on the table that can save us hundreds of millions of dollars, but they're not being put forward to the public anywhere.
They're not part of this mix that we're seeing right now. They really have been rushing to get this March deadline, which is a questionable deadline if you start to look at the story that's going on behind. So it's all been driven to that March deadline. They back it up, very narrow period of time. When a liquid waste management plan is approved by the province, that's it. There's no recourse. The public has no further say in what goes on. So whatever amendment they get through in March, based on the public engagement they're doing right now, based on the little pieces of information they're telling us, that's what's going to be the next liquid waste management
And that
plan.
will go to the provincial government, who will, I guess, approve it, and in a few short months or whatever,
They'll start planning it out. And
it's worth
putting out
mentioning
RFPs.
also, as part of this, that we are going to have to go a long way in terms of sewage treatment to match what the ocean is doing. Of course, pouring everything into the ocean isn't the greatest thing, but bringing it onto the land and trying to deal with it also has a lot of environmental costs as well as financial costs. So if we move ahead with treatment, and remember, we may not even have to, but if we move ahead, we've got to make sure we get the cheapest and environmentally best project. And I agree with you that the cheapest and environmentally best potential programs are not even on the list. The public is completely unaware of them, and yet we're almost at the end of the process.
We are. And the CRD has had proposals from very reputable sources. We've talked about that last time I was on the air, an option that we call the 250 million option, which completely treats all the sewage for a high level of quality and deals with the residual, so you don't have land pollution or air pollution afterwards. Now you're getting environmental benefit and economic benefit that starts to make it worthwhile to do sewage and do it really well. Do it modularly, resilient for the future. These are goals that everyone understands, yet we're rushing down to do everything at Rock Bay. We talked about tearing up all Cook Street Village to put the pipes through, all the disruption to the city. The avoidable costs that are in that plan can be saved in many different ways that aren't part of the public engagement. So the public, in many respects, is being misled that those are all the options they have to choose from, when there really are others that they should be told about and consulted on, so we can get the real public input on this story.
Now, leading the process is Victoria Mayor Lisa Helps. And, when I hear her on the radio, she's on CFAX occasionally, she says we have this timeline, we've got to meet and we've got to move ahead and we can't do this and we can't do that. You're much more, you know what's going on. What is Lisa doing?
I wish I knew what's going on. No, I don't know what's going on, to be honest. I can just see what's missing in the gaps and what we're being told. And I'm left with questions too. I really don't know why so much force is being to drive this so fast when you step back and you look at the bigger picture. The CRD has started a task force to look at what's called integrated resource management. 3 words which mean you look at all the waste streams that are coming out of us, solid waste, wood, plastics, you look, and sewage, and compost, and garden waste. You look at the big picture, and you say, big picture-wise, what is the best way of handling these in the future, going forward? And that's what they need to be doing. And when you start to look at that, you can look at significant revenue generators, which we don't have. And suddenly the whole picture of funding this sewage project changes on a dime. We don't need the P3 funding for anaerobic digestion. We could use, if you're really into P3s, you could use P3 funding for integrated resource management. Those that aren't into P3 can argue that case too, and there's lots of arguments for and back on P3s, whether they're good or bad. So I'm not into that right now. I just want a good solution for our region, and I want to have that debate. So I don't know the answer why there's so much push when there are so many good solutions that are on the table that they're aware of. And they haven't stopped the brakes and said, look, at big picture-wise, we're going down the wrong path here. Let's take a bigger, longer-term picture that's beneficial to the environment and to our economy.
And we are talking literally $2 billion, $1 billion to build.
Yes.
And there's only, there's not that many people here. We're talking $1 billion. Yes, some comes from the province, some comes from the feds. If we go over budget,
it's all our money.
That's us. Anything over budget, that's hundreds of millions of dollars without question.
I think about the people on fixed incomes, and that's where I just go, like, if we're going to ask them to put up $500 or $600 or $800 a month, a year more, let's do it for things that have really got a benefit to our region. Yeah. These are people on fixed incomes. That counts. That hurts, and we need to be thinking about that too. And that's why I'm here too. Like, this is a personal thing for me. I get nothing out of this except for just trying to. It's a complicated issue. I've been following it for a long time, and I just want to make sure we have a really positive output. I need to make sure we don't lose track time-wise. I want to mention, first off, thank your viewers. We're getting some emails back. They're really appreciating that. There's a forum this coming Monday, February the 8th. I think your segment will be on in time for people to attend. It's at the Vic West Community Center. Monday, February 8th. It's the family day, but it was the only time it was available. Right. This is a public forum. This isn't a CRD one.
7 o'clock?
7 o'clock to 9. Come and get some answers. I'll be on there, and many of fellow citizens that know this and have been following it too, citizen experts and other experts, and give answers to the public, what's going on, and what to decide. Give them background information. The other thing I'm about to launch is a petition. My petition is just to the government to tell the CRD to tell us about these innovative tax-saving options before they make a decision. It's a pretty simple thing to ask. You almost wonder why you have to, but I want people to be aware of this. The website is innovate.crdsewage.ca. By the time you go live, the petition will be live. It's a simple, please sign your name. You can go do the CRD survey, but this is a really simple thing to do, to demand that we're told all the information before you ask us to make a decision and before you make a decision.
So it seems that the CRD process is geared towards having us make certain decisions.
Mm-hmm. And that will take place on February the 24th. The CRD will decide one of the options that are in the set that we've got right now. None of them are good. They're all use Rock Bay. They all have avoidable costs. They're all based on an anaerobic digestion and an inflated gasification pricing. They all have secondary as a component at this point too, which means we're still polluting the ocean. We're building outfalls we don't need. We're building pipes we don't need. We're doing a treatment process that's not resilient to the future. It's got the hazards of being in an earthquake zone. The site is on a clay base, so it's very expensive to make that earthquake proof. Close to the seashore, so we have the expense of building for tsunami risk, sea level rise. There's so many flaws in the set that they've come up with. And once they've decided, that's it. It will be Rock Bay. And that will be the next time we'll have to do it. You can't change these things once they're approved by the province. So
it just seems, how have we gotten into this? What's this inexorable force that keeps pushing? Because the original plan, which got derailed, thank goodness, by Esquimalt, was to spend $1 billion there to build a plant that did, I would say, zero environmental benefit. Am I off by much in saying that?
Well, no, secondary does remove a fair amount of the toxins.
But it just brings it onto the land.
Brings it onto
we
the
have
land.
to deal
So
with
the
it on
question is,
land.
what do you do?
Where's the benefit?
That is exactly true.
Yeah.
Just a couple historical things that people may forget. When the original thing to go to McLaughlin was set up, Esquimalt brought McLaughlin to the table, but that was only in the context that there were 4 plants. Macaulay was one of the small ones. Clover Point was going to be another on the east side, another on the west. There were 4 plants. That's when Esquimalt said, Macaulay's precious. Use McLaughlin for this small plant. So when it was a small plant, that was fine. So they didn't bring McLaughlin on the table for the big regional plant.
Oh.
They only brought it on as one of 4.
Right.
And I'd like to remind everybody too that Esquimalt held 5 days of public hearings, and 98% of the people objected to sewage treatment, that plan, on that site. So we've already gone through public engagement on that site for that plan, and it failed. So if you are listening to the public has spoken up on that one already. The whole motion to go back to McLaughlin also has got a lot of flaws in it.
Is that the one from Nils Jensen?
That's true. Don't forget, that's no longer 788 million. It's now 880 million. That's the newest number coming out of the core area. So it's not that far off the inflated numbers that are being used for Rock Bay. So there's not really any savings to be had by that. On top of that, it depends upon Langford funding their own sewage treatment without funding, and I don't think that's going to happen. So we'll see what happens with that vote.
But the most important thing is we can't make a mistake. So the public meeting is Monday, February the 8th.
Family Day, 7 to 9, Vic West Community Center.
Okay. We're out of time. Thank you, Brian,
Thank
for
you,
all your
Jack.
work.
Thank you to all the volunteers here, too.
Thanks for watching this segment of Citizens Forum.